Let's go Rams! Things have been heating up behind the scenes this week, and man, the only thing anyone is talking about is how the Rams need to win the next Super Bowl. Preseason starts next month, and it's time to show who the Los Angeles Rams really are. I need to share a few updates, so I'll get straight to the point. But before I start, I'm just asking you to hit the like button on this video, but only do it if you're a true fan and believe we'll make it to Super Bowl 61. If possible, write this: Go Rams! I believe in the Super Bowl. Alright, now I want to start by talking about Aaron Donald. Don't worry, I won't dwell on this too long. I'm also fed up with all the speculation, but these details need to be shared. Even though he's retired, his name simply refuses to leave the conversation surrounding the team. Whenever something involving him happens, Rams fans immediately start wondering if there might still be a new chapter to be written. Recently, another interesting detail caught everyone's attention. After Aaron Donald was spotted at the Rams facility for a workout, something else happened that fueled the speculation even further. Myles Garrett shared an image on Instagram showing an Aaron Donald jersey he's owned since 2019, mentioning that he was unpacking after a move. Naturally, many fans started wondering if there was a hidden message behind the post. The fact is, none of this confirms anything. There is no official announcement. There is no guarantee that Aaron Donald will return. For now, it's all just speculation, and that's exactly why the situation continues to divide the fan base. Some fans believe this is the start of something bigger. Others think people are simply jumping to conclusions based on unrelated events. Looking strictly at the available information, both possibilities remain open. On one hand, seeing Aaron Donald maintain his connection with the organization naturally generates excitement. He is one of the greatest players in the franchise's history, and the idea of seeing him wear the Rams' colors again is something that would excite the entire fan base. On the other hand, retirement is a personal decision. A return to the NFL would require an enormous commitment, both physically and mentally. Even though fans dream of seeing him back on the field, no one really knows what Aaron Donald himself wants to do. At this point, waiting might be the only realistic approach. If a comeback were to actually happen, making a decision before training camp would obviously make perfect sense. That would allow enough time for preparation, physical conditioning, and getting back into football shape before the regular season begins. Still, even if it never happens, it doesn't automatically mean bad news for Los Angeles. One interesting perspective on the roster is that the Rams already have a team capable of competing at a very high level. Aaron Donald would certainly strengthen the defense, but, according to discussions in the original source, the roster doesn't necessarily depend on his return to remain competitive. While fans continue to debate Aaron Donald's future, another discussion has emerged behind the scenes. Some predictions from other YouTube channels recently singled out Colby Parkinson as the Rams player most likely to see a drop in performance next season. At first glance, that headline seems worrying. No one wants to hear that one of their players is expected to take a step back. However, the reasoning behind this prediction deserves a closer look. The argument isn't necessarily that Parkinson will suddenly become a worse player. The expectation, in fact, is that his statistical output might dip because the Rams now have more talented options at the tight end position. That is a very different discussion. Last season, Parkinson posted solid numbers. He finished with 43 receptions, 408 receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns, despite missing games due to injuries. Those numbers made him a reliable part of the offense. Looking at that performance alone, there is little reason to believe his talent has suddenly vanished. What actually changed was the supporting cast around him. Terrence Ferguson continues to develop. Max Klare joins the room. Tyler Higbee remains an experienced veteran. That creates competition rather than panic. If Parkinson receives fewer targets because other tight ends are earning larger roles, that doesn't automatically mean he has regressed as a player. In fact, spreading the football among multiple reliable targets could actually make the offense more dangerous. Instead of relying heavily on one tight end, The Rams could attack defenses in several different ways. That possibility makes this position group one of the most intriguing areas to watch during training camp. Terrence Ferguson, in particular, appears to be generating considerable excitement. His rookie season didn't produce massive numbers, but there were flashes that suggested much more could be coming. He finished with 11 receptions for 231 yards and 3 touchdowns, while averaging an impressive number of yards per catch. More importantly, many observers believe his confidence grew as the season progressed. Sometimes development isn't measured only through statistics. Sometimes it's about comfort. Sometimes it's about timing. Sometimes it's about earning trust. As the year moved forward, Ferguson appeared increasingly comfortable within the offense. One of the biggest discussions surrounding him centers on his versatility. Rather than functioning exclusively as a traditional tight end, there is a belief that he possesses enough athletic ability to line up in multiple positions. His speed creates mismatches. His size creates opportunities. His ability to attack contested catches gives quarterbacks another reliable option. Because of those traits, some even believe he could occasionally function almost like an additional wide receiver, depending on the offensive package. If that development continues, it would naturally reduce opportunities for other tight ends without necessarily reflecting negatively on them. That's why projecting Parkinson's statistical decline becomes much more complicated. The numbers may decrease. The player himself may not. Tyler Higbee also continues to play an important role. While his receiving production may not receive as much attention anymore, his blocking remains valuable, and veteran leadership inside the tight end room continues to matter. Young players often benefit tremendously from experienced teammates who understand every detail of an NFL offense. Then there is Max Klare. As a rookie, expectations should probably remain realistic. Historically, the Rams have not always rushed young players into major offensive roles immediately. Development often happens gradually. That doesn't mean Klare lacks talent. It simply means earning significant snaps usually requires patience. Training camp and preseason will likely reveal how quickly he adapts to the professional game. Because of all these moving pieces, the final tight end depth chart becomes one of the more fascinating roster battles heading into the season. Every practice could influence coaches' decisions. Every preseason snap could matter. Every improvement could reshape offensive packages. Another factor discussed is trust. Quarterbacks naturally throw the football toward players they trust. Coaches naturally call plays for players they trust. Building that confidence requires consistency, making difficult catches, executing assignments correctly, blocking when necessary, avoiding costly mistakes. Those small details often determine playing time more than raw athletic ability. That makes training camp especially important for this group. Meanwhile, the offensive coaching staff faces interesting decisions about how to maximize everyone's strengths. Finding the right balance between experience and youth could become one of the defining challenges of the season. If Ferguson continues developing, Parkinson remains productive, Higbee provides veteran stability, and Klare gradually earns opportunities, the Rams could possess one of the deepest tight end groups they've had in quite some time. Returning briefly to Aaron Donald, there is another practical consideration that cannot be ignored. Roster construction always involves financial decisions. Even legendary players must fit within salary planning. Maintaining flexibility throughout the season remains valuable because injuries happen, unexpected opportunities emerge, and front offices must always prepare for future contract extensions. Those long-term considerations become just as important as emotional decisions. Fans understandably focus on what happens on Sundays. Front offices must think months and even years ahead. That balance often determines sustained success. Ultimately, that's why none of these storylines should be viewed in isolation. Aaron Donald's future, The evolution of the tight end room. Competition for offensive roles. Depth chart decisions. Salary flexibility. Everything connects together as the Rams prepare for another season filled with expectations. What makes this particularly exciting is that many of these questions simply don't have answers yet. Training camp has not fully played out. Preseason has not happened. Coaches have not finalized rotations. Players have not finished competing for snaps. That uncertainty creates endless discussion among fans because every new report seems capable of changing the conversation. For now, patience remains the smartest approach. Speculation can be entertaining. Hope can be exciting. But reality only arrives once official decisions are made. Until then, Rams fans can enjoy watching these storylines develop while appreciating just how much talent still exists throughout this roster. Whether you're most excited about the possibility of Aaron Donald making a stunning return, curious about Terrence Ferguson's development, confident in Kobe Parkinson's ability to remain productive, or eager to see how the entire tight end room evolves, one thing is certain: there will be plenty to watch over the coming weeks. And now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Aaron Donald will return to the Los Angeles Rams? Or do you think his incredible career has truly reached its final chapter? Also, do you agree with the prediction that Kobe Parkinson could see his production decline? Or do you believe the Rams' deeper tight end room will simply make the entire offense stronger? Share your thoughts, because this is exactly the kind of discussion that makes being part of Rams Nation so much fun. And I can't wait to read what every one of you has to say. Go Rams!